finding just the right family car can be a challenge. But consider this. The Mazda 626 has more standard features than a Honda Accord. Its no-deductible bumper-to-bumper warranty is unequal. The 626 is not only hundreds less than Accord, but right now you also get $750 cash back. And it's so much fun to drive, you could almost forget it's a family car. Well, almost.
See your local Mazda dealer today and get $750 cash back on 626.
Want tough stains out?
Let's start it up, baby, now. Start it up, baby. Squeeze lemon shout. Lemon power shout.
Nothing cleans better than a squeeze of lemon power shout.
You know it works so good.
Shout with the cleaning power of lemon penetrates, breaks up tough stains to wash them clean away.
Just like your new childhood.
Want tough stains out? Squeeze lemon shout.
Squeeze that shout.
You know how a great cut can give you a whole new feeling about yourself? That is nothing compared to what the right color can do. Here it is, nice and easy. Pick a shade that's a little lighter, a little darker, whatever. Shampoo it in, and wow, it's you, only better. You're going to be walking around, tossing that head of yours, and loving the way it feels. Nice and easy. Give it a shot.
It's intense.
At that point, I didn't think he had much chance of survival.
It's hot.
Are you the torch?
Mm-hmm. It's gonna happen again.
It's real.
There's a gentleman in the car. He's having a heart attack.
And it could save your life.
More of a miracle.
Join host William Shatner for an all-new Rescue 911, Tuesday at 8. It's time to rock and roll. The NBA playoffs continue on CBS Sports.
Years ago this month, the story splashed across the front pages of newspapers around the world. The king had sacrificed his throne for the love of a woman. The king of rock and roll, that is, Jerry Lee Lewis. Lewis is still rocking in clubs and concert halls on 2 continents, and with the movie about him opening this summer, his popularity should be on the rise again. But it was in 1958, after 3 top 10 hits in a row, that Jerry Lee made a crucial mistake. As my colleague Stephen Schiff learned, Lewis revealed his bizarre romance to the world and lost everything.
Everything I did and everything I got, I asked for, I knew way in advance what I was doing. When I stepped off that plane, I was strongly advised not to do this by several people that I knew very well to be some of the smartest people in the world. But I had to do it my way.
He never thought there would be a scandal where they would pull his records from the air. He would have never done that. He would have never participated in anything that would have destroyed his career.
I laughed in love, cause I thought it was funny. You came along and moved me, honey. I changed my mind. This love is fine. For goodness, it's a race. It's great balls of fire.
The year was 1957, and a self-taught 22-year-old piano player named Jerry Lee Lewis was pumping out a beat that sold records by the millions and horrified the parents of the teenagers who bought them.
So kind. Wanna tell this world that you're mine.
His managers had discovered Elvis Presley, and they were sure Jerry was going to be even bigger. But there was one sour note. On December 12, 1957, Jerry crossed the state line from Tennessee to Mississippi in order to marry the woman, or rather the girl, he loved. Her name was Myra, and she was Jerry's cousin. She was also 13 years old.
I thought it was right. Yeah. I was very honest and open with what I done. I never was the kind of person, I'm not a closet man, so to speak. I was always wide open with what I did. I never lied about nothing. What I done. I could never do that.
Being a little country boy from Louisiana, the way he had grown up, his mother was married at 16, his grandmother was married at 14. It was all he'd ever known, so he didn't anticipate that the world would not be ready for that.
Jerry thought he could get away with bringing Myra on his tour of England in 1958. It's simple, he said. We'll just tell him she's 15. Nobody paid much attention when she got off the plane in London. Nobody, that is, except one inquisitive photographer.
And he came over to me. He came over and asked my mother who she was, and she told him. And he asked my sister-in-law who she was, and she said she was Jerry's sister, and he made note of that. And he came to me, and he said, and who are you? And I said, I'm Jerry's wife. And the look on this man's face just horrified me. I thought, oh, my God, what have I said?
Open up, honey, it's your lover boy, me, but the knocking. Why don't you listen to me, sugar, all the catch at the high school rockin'? Honey, get your bopping shoes, for the jukebox blows the fuse. Hey, everybody hopping, everybody bopping in the high school hop.
Jerry thought he'd find relief back home, but the American press seized upon the story, and the news got worse. Myra was Jerry's bride, but not his only bride. She was wife number 3, and when Jerry married her, he hadn't quite managed to divorce wife number 2. In the headlines, Lewis was not only a cradle robber, he was a bigamist as well.
When were you married? When were you married? Well, we leave our personal questions out of this.
I wanted to say to everyone, don't you understand that I am an adult? I'm only 13 years old, but I'm grown and I'm mature and, you know, all these things.
Were you?
I really was. I was a lot more mature than your average 13-year-old girl. But when I look back on it now, in retrospect, I see what just a mere child I was.
He was on his way to becoming the new king of rock and roll. Elvis had gone into the Army. This was his moment to grab the throne, and it certainly backfired. And I think America, I don't think he believed when he came back to the States that they would react the way they did in England, but I think they held him up as the scapegoat as to what the perils of rock and roll would represent to children of America back then.
Adam Fields is the producer of Great Balls of Fire, which stars Dennis Quaid as Jerry Lee.
If Myra don't go, I don't go.
Based on Myra's book, Great Balls of Fire covers an 18-month period in the late 50s, when the young rocker from Louisiana had it all, and then, very suddenly, lost it.
Being on top of the world, making $10,000 a night from a family and a society where that $10,000 was an entire generation's worth of income, and suddenly, in the span of 10 days in London, coming back to $100 a week and trying to figure out what happened.
He was on everyone's blacklist. The disc jockeys could no longer play his records because the sponsor said, we will not have you play that music. So he had his career just as fast as it happened, he had it snatched away from him.
Well, I knew it would be a heck of a challenge. And I knew that, I really didn't know that at the time, I didn't think it would take me quite as long to come back as it did. It was a little bit more difficult to get back into the hit record scene again. It took me a couple of years. I didn't think it would take me over a year, really.
Jerry was never down and despondent to the point of saying, I give up. He would always say, he would go in the studio, he would cut a new record, he would come home, he would bring the demo tape, and he would play it, and he would say, if that's not a hit, I'm going to quit and go back to farming. Of course, he said that with every record, every time, and every time it was with a very upbeat.
Lewis was optimistic, but he was wrong. The scandal not only devastated his career, it opened a floodgate of tragedy and self-destruction. There were infidelity and bouts with alcohol and drugs. And in 1962, Jerry and Myra's 3-year-old son drowned in their swimming pool. After they divorced in 1971, things got even worse. Jerry's son from a previous marriage was killed in a car accident. Wives 4 and 5 died under mysterious circumstances. And Lewis himself suffered a bleeding ulcer that nearly killed him twice. Yet each new blow seemed to confirm his reputation as pop music's incorrigible outsider. Spurned by rock and roll, he made a new career as a country star, scoring hit after hit throughout the 60s and 70s. And what kept him going was his blind, almost fanatical faith in his own talent.
Jerry Lee can't go.
major label yet. And I've probably sold more records than anybody. And every hit record I've ever had, listen to this now, every hit I've ever had in my life is in one cut.
In one take?
One take. Go into the studio, sit down, pull the piano stool up, put the song down, walk out. Get up on stage, perform it with bad instruments, bad bands, people that couldn't hear nothing, no monitors, no nothing, back it up.
Is it the same when you do country music?
Well, I don't do country music. I just do Jerry Lee Lewis music. I mean, I do it my style. I do it my way.
Jerry developed his style from Pentecostal church music, and he grew up religious, almost as religious as his cousin and closest childhood friend, Jimmy Swaggart. But their musical paths parted when Jerry took up the devil's music, rock and roll.
I've heard a lot of people say, well, how about the devil's music? You play the devil's music. Wait a minute, let's get this straight. You know, I mean, who knows? You could probably say, well, Satan, who is the archangel, he has power next to God. He was probably the head honcho. He could have been the head honcho of music in heaven at one time. Who knows? So I imagine he's got a lot to do with it.
A lot to do with your music?
No, God's music. And his music really is.
Tell me what you think about the predicament your cousin Jimmy Swaggart's in.
Who? Jimmy? He's a fine person. Jimmy's one of the smartest, shrewdest people I've ever known. I really find it hard to believe, but what I did read, it really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
But he pretty much confessed, and he came on TV and told everyone he was sorry.
Yeah, but he never did say what he had done. I would have liked to have had a broader statement than that, wouldn't you? I'm like somebody playing a game here or something. You know? I don't know. You know. I never figured Jimmy Swaggart to be that stupid.
I think Jerry, at some point in his life, felt that that's what he was supposed to do. That there was a...
Preach?
Yeah, that there was a message that he was supposed to carry on, that he was supposed to preach. That he was given this talent, and he was supposed to use it for God's work.
So every night, Jerry would go out and he would play rock and roll, the devil's music. And would every night when he came home, would he feel bad about it?
Probably. Yeah. Whether he should or not, he would.
It'd be hard to live with.
Yeah. It tends to torment you after a while.
Do you feel like you understand him, or do you feel that there's a mystery there that no one can ever penetrate?
I feel like I know Jerry better than anybody. I feel like I understand what makes him tick because I've known him before he was a star. I knew him when he was a little boy. I knew him when he was innocent and, you know, wide open eyes looking at the world saying, oh, look at that, you know, like a kid in a toy store.
Well, I think it's amazing that given all the tragedy, all the scandal, and all the hardship that surrounded Jerry Lee, he hasn't quit. I think he's had more hardship in his life than 30 performers put together. That most people would have just said, all right, I quit, I give up. And he never did. He has told me he feels that he has wandered over the past 30 years and sort of wandered through his own desert of tragedy and scandal, and the film was going to take him to the promised land. And he thinks it's almost, at times he's talked about it, that it's almost a destiny. That it's not up to me, it's not up to him that we've been chosen to do this.
Now that I'm 53 years old, do what I was thinking about, and look back over those days, and I can feel fear at times a little bit there. And I think I get a little bit insecure about it. How did I do that, you know? How did I pull all this off? I mean, if I had to do it, if I know what I know now, would I handle it different? Probably so.
Myra and Jerry still see each other and their 25-year-old daughter, Phoebe. Jerry and his new wife, Carrie, live on a ranch in rural Mississippi with their 2-year-old son. Myra now lives in Atlanta, where she and her husband sell real estate.